So he led me through the sinner's prayer, which was great. And then all of a sudden, me and my wife moved from there. And then we started going to this little church. And then the pastor at the church told me, hey, Al, why don't you come into the home to help me? He knew I was hooked, right? And I told him, yeah, I'll help you. I moved in. I thought he was going to let me come home when I wanted to. No, man, I had to stay there.
He tricked you in.
And he knew what he was doing because
This smart pastor.
I was there and I was sick and sick and sick. And all of a sudden, man, I was well. And then he would tell me, hey, what does this mean? He'd call me in his office, read this to me. I don't got my glasses. And I would read it and explain it to me and this and that. And then he said, well, you know what? We need you for a counselor, Al. You know what? We need you for the director, Al. You know what, Al? What do you think we could do here? And all of a sudden, they had some kids there. This kid was busted for armed robbery. The judge let him come home. And I told his parents, I go, I can get this kid off. And they go, yeah, can you? I go, yeah. I said, I'll go to court for him. And I was thinking on my own natural that I could do it. And all of a sudden I walked into court and the only thing I could say was, Your Honor, I would like to talk as a friend of the court. And he said, go ahead. And everybody just looked at me like, who's this nut? And I stood up and said, by the grace of God, I stand here and not there. And I'm asking you to give us a chance that God may do the work in his life. And the judge let him come home. Well, his parents gave us a home in Adelanto for a boys' home. So I had the boys' home. I came home one time, and me and the pastor got in an argument. And I told him, well, here's your keys, man. You know what I mean? You know, I don't need all this, what am I doing here? And I left, and I backslid. And just like they say, 7 times worse. Yeah. Man, I mean, I did a lot of shameful things before, but this time there was nothing I wouldn't do. Nothing I wouldn't do. And I just getting worse and worse.
So you went back to the bike club.
I would use the bike club at that time for different things. I was always with them because we were together, but I worked with different families.
But I'm saying after you backslid, you were on your own?
I picked up the gun.
Okay.
I picked up the gun and I hired out. Okay, you need somebody to collect. I knew a lot of big families here, Texas, Arizona, and I would tell them, hey, I'm doing this again. They come on now. So I'd go guard loads, or this guy didn't pay. I'd go over there, shoot him in the leg, or whatever.
What I want you to do is to take me to the worst point of your life where you finally had to completely re-surrender yourself to Christ. This is what I want you to do, so that we can come back to...
All right. Well, I started, like I said, working out of state, in Mexico, different states, and I started doing awful things to people, really awful things, and I would collect money, and all of a sudden, my heart was so bitter that I didn't care about anything or anyone. I went to the federal penitentiary, and all the time I was there, I said, when I get up this time, I'm going to show them. But little did I know that God had a plan for me. And I came out, and I was clean. I followed the rules. Don't get high, don't gamble, no punks. So when I got out, like I was already clean a few years, and then I stayed clean 5 years more on my parole, all of a sudden, I had jobs. I was working, but not good jobs, little jobs, barely making the minimum, even less sometimes, but I was working. And all of a sudden, God blessed me with a house. All of a sudden, I started being faithful, going to church. There was nothing I had. The guys would call me, come back to the club, Al, come. I went back to the club. And even they didn't want me because they said I was trying to hurt somebody or do something. So they didn't want me. So I was home, and I joined the church. They had a food ministry, and I'd give the food out, unload the trucks. And I kept telling the guy, whatever you want, I'll clean the toilets, I'll do anything, clean out. And he had me do everything I said. He kept me to my word. You know, I never got up and tried to be a preacher. I just wanted to be a part of something. God had already started working in my life. I met my pastor, Gary Hornsby, on the phone, and God, I was faithful with where I was at. God moved me to Pastor Hornsby, to the river's edge, and right there, God just keeps blessing me. I went to India. Is it okay now to
No,
talk
of course.
with Pastor Hornsby? We went to India to preach, teach, testify. We went all over India, and I was blessed. I was so blessed. And I'm going to tell you something funny now. You look at my face, you're not going to believe this, but everybody in India thought I was Hulk Hogan.
You thought you were Hulk Hogan?
That's what they did. They would call me Hulk. I was staying at a university, and they would say,
Rocha.
yeah. And when coming back, watch this, how good God is. Coming back, you have to go through customs. The guy goes, I know who you are. Come on. So they just let me go through. And he seen my ID, and he seen my name, and he goes, oh, you don't want nobody to know it's you? I said, okay. And they had my pastor. They didn't want to let him through. I go, hey, that's my manager. Let him through. So we were coming home on the plane, blessed. I seen people delivered, changed from Hinduism to Christianity. I prayed for people after people that were possessed. God healed them, saved them. It was so, I didn't need the plane. I could have flew home. And all of a sudden, as we were going to land, they keep telling you on the plane, we're 2 hours away, we're this high, and you're looking right, you got your TVs. All of a sudden, my pastor leans over and tells me, your grandson was killed. He says, a car hit him and killed him. The guy was running from the police, got on the freeway the wrong way, and hit your grandson. He hit my grandson and another kid that was with him, cut his legs off, and he died instantly. He was going 100 and something. So hate rose up in me. So the pastor kept talking, so I put on the headphones so I wouldn't hear him. And I put the music on, and I knew that guy was going to be dead. I said to myself, God, why this now? Why would you let the devil do this to me now after I've been so blessed in India? I went to India. That kid that grew up in Glass Street, broken homes, a nut. God blessed me, and I went to India. By the time we got off the plane, I had my thing. I was walking as fast as I could. The pastor goes, here, put it right here, because he had a little cart. He goes, I'll carry it. I go, that's all right, man. It's all right. I was so mad, infuriated. And when I got outside, the guy that picked me up was Robert Carvalli.
Oh, okay.
So him and the other pastor hit me all the way home. So we drove the other pastor home, and me and Robert. You know, God blessed me with these two men of God. And by the time I got home, I was okay. Then my grandson came in, my namesake, and he says, I'll take the ticket, Grandpa. I'll hit him in the court. And I looked at him, I said, I don't want to lose another grandkid. Please. I had already lost one of my sons who was killed. He wanted to be like me. I had lost a daughter. When I came home from Vietnam, I had that Agent Orange. She got it, and they tried to operate on her, but it couldn't save her. But God was so good to me that he had these two men of God there, where no matter when I would try to think of saying something, they already had the answer.
Jesus to the rescue, brother. And
Amen.
he puts those brothers right there for you so that, you know. Okay, so ever since then, you've been derechito with the Lord.
Everything. I keep getting blessed. Look I'm here on this program. Who would think that I would be on the program? No one. I mean, I had people, guards and people that work in prison, they love me because they said that I was job security, that I'll always come back. And I haven't been back. I haven't used or drank since '97.